and it's painful, let me tell you. So yeah, it's a pretty hard thing, but you just learn how to live with it. Hello guys, if you're new to my channel, my name's Emma, and if you're not, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you the truth about being an exchange student, the hard truth, and all the good things and all the bad things, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you about everything that I went through and everything that happened to me, all the good and the bad things. So I hope you like this video because I'm really gonna be so honest and reveal things about my exchange year that I haven't or that are hard for me to share. So if you do like this video, put big thumbs up, follow my social media because I post a lot of things related to my exchange year, and subscribe to my channel because I post a lot of content about my exchange year, and if you want to learn more about it, it's gonna be great. So we're gonna be getting ready while I tell you all the things, and I already have another video where I explain how I became an exchange student. You can go watch that video, and now I'm gonna tell you like all the things that I haven't shared, or I have but you want to hear again because you've been asking me a lot of questions on social media, how I became an exchange student, etc. And I just figured I'm gonna answer those questions while telling you things about my exchange year. So I'm gonna start with a little recap of how I became an exchange student, because it's not often that exchange students go to another country for free. And at my age, I was 15 when I left and 16 when I came back, and it was generally a pretty hard experience for someone my age, because usually exchange students are 17, 18 when they leave, and I was really young. And I was completely sponsored by the Department of State. I was on a scholarship given by the YES program, and I've explained in a previous video how I applied, how I became an exchange student, so go watch that if you want to know more about the whole process of application. Being an exchange student was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the most fulfilling, and it was an experience that made me who I am, and in the best way possible. It taught me so many great things about life, and I went through some pretty difficult things that I'll tell you about, and they taught me a lot, and without all the bad things I wouldn't have all the good things. So I'm pretty grateful for everything, no matter how bad it was, and I'm grateful that it happened because everything happens for a reason. My camera just fell, so I hope everything's fine. So leaving, I think it goes without saying that leaving my home country was really hard, since it was my first of all, it was my first flying alone to another continent. I've flown on a plane with my parents to different places, and the only place that I had flown by myself was Paris, but my parents got me on the plane, and then my uncle and my aunt took me from the airport when I landed. So pretty much I didn't have any experience by myself, and all of a sudden I had to go to a different continent by myself for 10 months. You can imagine that was pretty hard for me, and I was pretty anxious about the whole thing. So I left, and it was really hard, but overall the experience of going there was pretty easy, and I had people that were helping me. People were very nice about like when I asked them questions and stuff like that. For the first probably 2 months I was pretty homesick. I mean, I had a host family, but I didn't have anyone that I like trusted to share. And it was really hard for me because I'm used to talking to my parents all the time, and I didn't have them. I couldn't hug them. So homesickness was probably my biggest issue in the beginning. And I mean, I was in a different family, so it was really hard for me seeing the family dynamics, and I didn't have my support system. So homesickness played a very big part of my exchange year, but that's normal, right? In the beginning, I was in a different host family, and due to certain reasons, I had to change host families, and that was pretty stressful for me. I lived with them for probably 2 months, and we weren't very close. So I'm grateful for that, because if we were close, it would have sucked, honestly. But due to numerous reasons, I had to switch the family, and I moved in with my closest friend and her family, and it was actually pretty great. I was so stressed because in the beginning I thought that when I have to switch host families, I'm gonna have to move states, move cities, move schools, but it was all fine. It all worked out. A lot of people talk about how hard it is to be an exchange student and homesickness and everything, and I would say homesickness is a pretty big thing about it, but leaving is way harder, because when you go to a different country and you know that you have like 10 months there, and you know you have to make the most of it, you become close with people really quickly. But what they don't tell you is that leaving, it leaves such a big, you leave such a big piece of your heart in your host country, and it's painful, let me tell you, because you go back to your home country and you see your people and everything, but you never know when you're gonna go see your host family, your friends, your school even. You know that you'll never have that life back, and it's so painful, because it just, for me, the unknown of it is so big, and you miss your host family because you become so close with them, you grow as a person, and it's painful, it's heartbreaking. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I personally have a lot of anxiety, and for me it was really hard to do things that I haven't done before. Like, I didn't know how the school worked in the beginning, so it was really hard for me to adjust and like talk to people. For example, in the beginning I had to go to the principal and figure out what classes I'm gonna take, and that may sound like something so stupid, but it was so hard for me. I was so anxious about doing it, because with my anxiety, it was so hard to do new things that I haven't done, and in a different language too. I mean, I'm pretty good in English, but like living in another language can get pretty exhausting at times. And while I didn't realize it like cautiously, it was hard for me to figure out how to do things. And sometimes I even had like my host mom call to make an appointment for me, because I was just getting so overwhelmed with like, I had to, before she became my host mom, I had to make her call the waxing place to make me an appointment, because I was just so scared of calling. And that's always been like a big problem for me, but being an exchange student definitely helped me improve those things that I'm pretty scared of. So that's about homesickness and missing people. It plays a pretty big part of it, but you learn how to control those feelings. You never stop missing the people, you just, I don't know, it's kind of weird, because I miss my host family so much, but I know I'm gonna see them again, and they'll always be my family, and I will always love them. So yeah, it's a pretty hard thing, but you just learn how to live with it. Now, a lot of you have asked me about the food, and if Americans eat junk food like the movies, and if it's just like that. And to be honest, it is. Food is very different, and some exchange students have a really hard time with it, but I personally didn't have that. I mean, it was definitely an adjustment. I definitely had to get used to it, but it's not that dramatic as people tend to make it. I can't find my mascara, guys. The one I want. Yeah, here it is. So it is super weird, because they do eat like burgers and fries and pizza all the time, but I was fortunate enough to be in a family that had good food. They had the opportunity to eat whatever they want to eat, and So we had like salmon almost once a week, and but something that's so weird is their fruits. They have, first of all, they have so many of like one thing. Like if you go to a grocery store, there's a whole aisle of just like, let's say tomato sauce. There's like 50 different brands of different colors of different, like tomato sauce with garlic, tomato sauce with truffle, like I don't know, there's like so many different types, and it's really like a cultural shock. And but it's so good because you have like, if you want something, they always have it. Like there's no way that you want something and they don't have it, so that's great. But let's say they're like, fruits and vegetables are so, you have to have money if you want to eat good food, because if you don't have money, you're gonna get like cheap raspberries, and they're so GMO, like they're so modified. It's so weird. They're always like, if you leave them out, they won't get mold. It's so weird. They won't go bad because they're so like, there's barely any actual fruit, and it's more like just fake fruit. And my host family, like, I'm again fortunate enough that I had the opportunity to be in a family that could afford good food, and I'm pretty grateful for that, because we always had fruit, we always had veggies, we always had good juice, good meat, and it was just like, it's something that I really appreciate. But if you're in a family that doesn't have that opportunity, food could be a very big issue. Something also that was very like hard for me was like, I mean, I made friends and I got close to people, but in the beginning it was so, you just feel so lost because you don't know anyone, and it's really hard to talk to people, and they don't know you. In school they don't know you. You're just like the exchange student most of the time, including it was very hard for me, like sometimes, like when I was being introduced to people, she's the exchange student, and like not by my name, not by like, people were talking to me like I'm just there for a certain amount of time and then I'm leaving, so most of the people don't really want to get close to you because they know that you're gonna leave. So that's something that's very hard, and I feel like it's not being talked about, and it was really hard for me. Sometimes my host family would introduce me to like the grandparents or their family friends or whatever, and I'm just the exchange student from another country, you know, and it would leave me really hurt. But I know I wasn't like, I shouldn't think too much about it, because it's true, I am the exchange student and I am gonna leave, but nobody talks how you feel like kind of like an outsider when you just want to be part of like the community. And knowing that you're gonna leave, it's also hard to like start loving people and start trusting them, because you know you're gonna leave and you're gonna be long distance, and that's a pretty hard thing. So it's something that you definitely need adjusting to, but it's so worth it, because I feel like I'm telling you all the hard things, because there are hard things and nothing good comes easy in life generally. So I just wanted to be honest about some things that, if you consider being an exchange student, that you most likely are gonna experience, but it's so worth it. You meet the best people, you find friends for life. My closest friends I met through my exchange year, and because you're so there for such a short amount of time and you want to experience the most, you put yourself out more, you open yourself more, and that just creates memories for life. And I'll never forget my exchange year. It's the best thing that's happened to me, and I met my favorite people ever. So I'm so grateful for the whole experience, and I would never trade anything that happened for the world, because I had a lot of issues with family, friends, school, like everything, but that's normal, and we worked things out, and I'm just so grateful for everything. And if you are an exchange student and if you're going through something, just know it's all worth it, and when you go back, you're just gonna remember the good things, and you'll be thinking, why did I ever worry about that? Why was that even in my head? Like, I was there, I had fun. Why did I worry about people? Like, why did I worry about a grade? Or why did I worry about calling someone? Or why did I worry that they're not gonna ask me to that party? You know, it's just, it's pointless to worry about those things because you only have a certain amount of time, so make the most out of them. And if you have any questions about like anything else that I haven't talked about, you can ask me on my social media. I'll make sure to answer the questions, and if you want a different video about something else connected to my exchange year, I can always make a video and answer your questions. So I hope I told you some interesting things that you didn't know, and I'm sure I didn't cover everything, but that's, as of today, what I thought of telling you and what I remembered, kind of. So if you want a part 2, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Please ask me. I'll make so many different videos, and my exchange year is my favorite thing to talk about, so I can film endless amounts of videos on that topic. So follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, and right here. And I hope this video was interesting. Put big thumbs up, and yeah, see you in the next video.